Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's match of the Link to the Past tournament, randomizer tournament. Match between Andy and Zero Rush. I am Apathy Duck, and I am joined today by Professor Renderer. How is it going?
I am doing well. I have Subway next to me, and I can't wait to join. I can't wait to commentate this race because I am quaking in my boots right now because we have an exciting race for you. We have Zero Rush and Andy in the Group Q. This is game one of a doubleheader.
Yeah, but this is the winners bracket. So both these guys won their first matches, and now they're drawn against each other. This is a really tough draw for both of them. These are two of the top guys in this. I don't really know if there's really any sort of advantage to be on either side of this. Both Zero and Rush and Andy are just top tier players of this game. Andy obviously plays a ton of randomizer. Zero does too. Zero plays a lot of the vanilla speedruns as well. So this is going to be a really good match. I'm looking forward to it. I just hope we get some early boots so we can see some cool tech.
Oh, yeah, definitely. This is I'm looking very forward to this. We should be underway pretty soon though. Of course, Andy, you know him, you love him. He's the guy that is pretty much why you're all here. You probably watched this SGDQ match with Christos Owen, and probably a couple other randomizers at various AGDQs or SGDQs. Yeah, this is going to be an exciting match. Zero Rush again, also top tier player, like you said. And honestly, what are you looking for in terms of the seed?
Nothing. I want those early boots. Most of the cool tech in this game needs boots, and like I said, these guys are just two of the best. So I want to see those. I want to see some cool stuff, and we're getting off to start right here. Both starting in Link's house with $20.
Me, I just want a clean and fair fight. So both are going to do the uncle start.
Yeah, both of them are grabbing the sign here. They're going to kill one of these guards. Not only going to give him a chance for a drop from the guard, which looks like it's bombs today. It's not the bomb prize pack because it would be 100%, and Andy didn't get it, unfortunately. But it also gives you a chance to get this tier 1 tree pull, just green rupees today. The thing that both these guys are looking for to start off is both bombs and rupees. Bombs are required for a bunch of the early checks, as well as rupees. And sometimes you need rupees for bombs, but Zero has the bomb right now. Andy does not. And I suppose both of these guys will probably be saving quitting out of here since they didn't find a weapon to go into escape. They did get the glove, though, so that opens up the back to escape potentially as an early check for Zero since he has the bomb.
Yeah, since Zero Rush has a bomb, there's probably going to be more bombs here later on. Sorta in the Sanctuary is very nice, so...
And Zero is going to be taking that bomb to the back of escape right here. You need either a bomb or boots to get into these 3 checks. So little lucky with his bomb drop, he's just going to be able to get this check done a little bit sooner. It's going to be an early advantage if something is here.
Might check again, just want to make sure this is working.
Yeah, you're right. $300 is nice. Like I said, you do need a lot of money early on, so that'll help out a bunch, but nothing huge there. Yeah, early map check. I caught Eastern was a crystal. That's all I saw, and he's pretty fast at reading those, faster than me. So. It looks like Hera was also a crystal, and Desert Palace was a pendant.
Yeah, a wide variety of pendants and crystals here.
And you have a little fencing match over on the right side. Yeah, it looks like both of them are just kind of going for fairly standard opening, just coming to Kakariko as soon as possible. There's a bunch of checks here, something like 17 or something. I'm probably not even right about that, but there's a bunch. 5 in Blind's Hut, 5 in the Well, Bottle Vendor, and Chicken Hut, and Backup Tavern, in addition to Sick Kid once you find a bottle. But there's usually something here, so just a lot of people like coming here early and seeing what the seed's going to set up for them.
And the cape was picked up from Andy, so we're actually one away from Aga 1 being in play here. We just need a lamp and that's it.
Yeah, early on we have both the cape and we have the gloves. Two different item chains that potentially get you to Dark World access. Either one needs the Moon Pearl, so it really just comes down to whether we find the hammer or the lamp first for which way the seed wants us to go.
So Andy heading for the back of the tavern since he doesn't have bombs here. Zerorush opting to buy the bombs from the shop so he can continue doing the rest of the bomb checks for this Sphere 1.
Yeah, that early 300 that Zero was able to snag from back of Escape is actually paying off a little bit. He doesn't have to farm money, he can just get the bombs right here and clear out all these bomb checks.
And the shields from the bottle vendor.
Shoutouts to Andy for trying Chicken Clip.
Yeah, it doesn't really benefit much. It just looks silly. There's a potion.
It is 100% a meme. You can throw the chicken through the door, the same frame it opens, and it can pop out the other side.
Yeah, and also there was a blue potion inside the well, along with an ether medallion. So we have access to Sick Kid right here in Kakariko.
Yeah, the two things you want in Kakariko before you come here sometimes is either a bottle or the flute. Some players like to do like a delayed Kakariko to hopefully snag one of those items. So finding a bottle in Kakariko is nice. It's not really a big advantage for either one here because they ended up doing the same route. And Zero gets $15 more, which I'm sure Andy's going to be a little bit more happy to see because he's struggling for cash a little bit more right now.
Yeah, but so far, nothing really to report on. Just a cape that can potentially lead to Aga 1.
Yeah, the only progression we've gotten so far that we can immediately access was the back of the scape with those gloves. But we already checked those and it was nothing. So the front of escape's still open. They can sequence break up to Death Mountain, but the seed won't expect us to do that with just the gloves. So there's got to be something else down here. It could just be the lamp, of course, which is something you may be looking to sequence break early.
And the Cane of Burnham was also picked up, was actually not picked up, but was actually seen on top of the library. So, not really needed because we have a cave in case once later on down the road we have access to Spike Cave.
Yeah, that cane really doesn't mean anything until you get the hammer.
Yeah. Zerorush heading for the dam. Only $5 inside the dam. It's gonna drain the flood, water by opening the floodgates and checking the sunken treasure. Andy heading for the back of escape.
Andy may decide to continue into Dark Cross here though there wasn't a key here, so you can't. Never mind. And there's our Moon Pearl. So again, that still doesn't necessarily mean either Aga or just the standard Dark World access is more likely. Like I said, we're one item away from either of those methods being open. So there's a lot of times you like kind of count your items whether you think it's going to be an Aga seed or not. Like if you just have the cape, you don't have gloves or hammer, then it's probably going to be Aga. But this one could go either way at this point.
Yeah. Also, it would be nice if a hookshot was found earlier. Then we would have access to the village outcasts from the pyramid. Once we have the lamp, then that's pretty much leads you to believe that this is Aga 1 required for Dark World.
Yeah, it's one thing that a lot of people don't think about when they get Aga access, that unless you have like the hookshot, really your Dark World access is pretty limited to just the pod area and catfish. So even if it's looking like it's an Aga seed, a lot of times you want to delay doing Aga at that point, because you still need the hookshot or something else, and it may just be, you know, Dark World Access just pops up in front of you normally. So, like you said, like you pointed out, it's not a lot of good Dark World Access from Aga, so I kind of expect the hammer to be found here shortly.
Yeah. Also, while we were talking about Aga 1, I saw Andy doing the Houlihan room, which is a room that can be accessed by triggering a air on Link's Y coordinate. And once you drop in, you'll find a room with 225 rupees, and once you leave the room, you'll spawn right in Link's house.
Yeah, it's basically the 1994 version of air handling. Just the camera doesn't know where to put you, so it puts you into a default room, and they just use that as they put 255 rupees in there as kind of a Easter egg. But it's useful here because in Randomizer we need that money for Zora a lot early. So
yeah, and that makes a whole lot of sense for why Andy would do it, because right now he's at Zora money, and zerorush is doing a fake flipper, which is caused by transitioning when you're jumping into the water without the flippers, because it only checks for 1 frame if you have the flippers or not, and when you transition at the same time this 1 frame check is occurring, it pretty much forgets to do the check, and you'll have access to the water checks without the flippers.
yeah, one of the deciding factors whether you do the fake flipper checks a lot is whether or not you have the moon pearl. You can actually get the waterfall items if you have the moon pearl. If you come out of the waterfall with the moon pearl, you can go back in and you'll be in a waterwalk state. It doesn't work without the moon pearl for some reason. I've never quite been sure on that one. This game it's pretty weird with some of its glitches.
Yeah, and there's also plenty of caveats. For example, if the aforementioned waterfall cave, if you find a heart piece that refills your health, you're forced back into the fake flipper state. And if you take any form of damage when you do the screen transition, the randomizer has set it so that it will kill you in 1 hit. In the vanilla game, it just softlocks you.
Yeah, it depends on the softlock. Depends if you jumped into the water on the same screen you get hit on. But we do have Bombos and Master Sword in the waterfall cave, which is out of logic right now. But neither one of those really providing us any sort of new logical access. The Master Sword would be Aga access, but we already have the cape. Although Zero doesn't have the cape, or he may. I thought that was in Kakariko.
Yeah, this was in Kakariko.
Okay, we may have just been missed. We'll check his menu next. But if he doesn't have the cape, then he'll be thinking maybe Aga with that sword.
Yeah, it does seem to look that way with that Master Sword. It kind of strengthens that sort of, I guess, that sort of train of thoughts here. Zora only giving out 50 rupees. That's just a 10% cut.
Oh, and so Chad's saying that he didn't do blind set. Okay. So apparently he is missing the cape. Unless something's on bumper edge, though, if even if this does turn out to be Aga Seed, he's going to kind of luck out in that sense that he will still have Aga access without having to go back to Kakariko.
Yeah. Also, the man underneath the bridge, or the hobo, gave out half magic, which is very nice. Just some extra utility for the magic weapons, a lot, especially the fire rod, which now doubles it up from 8 shots to 16 shots.
Zero making the play into escape. I think he hasn't done Eastern. He may be thinking the lamp might be here. You can combo this right into Aga, or maybe the hammer will be here and give him the Dark World access. I don't think he's done Sasha. I mean, he's got Tempered Sword already. Oh boy. So we're not going to be seeing any fighter sword fights today. We just need the boots, and we'll be able to see some cool stuff this seed.
Yeah, that tempered sword is very nice to have in the early game. You can just burn through a lot of these, and also with the red mail that was picked up in the boomerang chest, you're pretty much all decked out. You have a lot of protection. You have a lot of firepower. In the very
Zero's showing off some nice strats and escape. clinking that door in the key guards is going to alert him. A little bit of a modified version of the Hunter's check because he's got the tempered. Usually you'd see a double spin there, but he's got tempered. He just slashed him to save a little bit of time. That's a really smart play by Zero.
And zerorush is setting up for a death warp just by hitting the ball and chain guard. He's got tempered sword, so just 2 slashes and you're good to go. Just 3 bombs and actually going to save and quit.
Yeah, he knows the keys in the middle chest. Actually, he should have known that before even doing that, because the key can't actually be in there, because if you steal a key, you could potentially lock yourself out of those bottom 2 ones. So the key can only ever be in the first chest. So he probably just realized that after the fact when he found the bombs. He's like, "Oh right, the key can't be there." So just decided to save and quit, and he's now coming over to Sasha, and then he may be making the play into Eastern afterwards if Sasha comes up blank. Because I don't think he's got really anything left besides sequence breaking up to Death Mountain.
Yeah, this is pretty much, we're running out of checks to really make. So Eastern is going to be the last play that most of the runners will do outside of everything else. And another blue potion. And he now has his red mail.
It almost feels unfair that these 2 guys are getting red mail and tempered sword so early.
Yeah, like I said, a lot of early protection with 5 hearts and red mail. You're pretty much set for life in this early in the early game, and then the tempered sword just slashes, just annihilates everyone.
I saw Zero sneaking a couple manual stair-like cancels going up Eastern Palace staircase. This guy's in it to win it. That is like a 2 frame saver. That is great.
And that is really nice. And there's the lamp.
Yeah, so that does put Aga in logic. Again, we don't have good Dark World access, which is why Zero is probably continuing on here. Really doesn't want to go to Dark World and kind of be forced into an early bolus pod only to get kicked out because he skipped something in here. And DM isn't a logic, but it's only 2 items, so it's not really that attractive without having either the mirror or the hookshot. But they still may make that play before going to Aga, because again, Aga is not really all that attractive right now either. There's not really a lot of good options at this point.
Not at all, really.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see if what Annie does after Final Lamp, if he continues on. I suspect he will, but after they both clear Eastern, we'll see if maybe they both either go to Death Mountain or one of them decides to make the Aga play already. Like I said, these guys are really close. There's really no execution advantage or anything between these 2 guys, so they're going to be looking for every advantage they could possibly find.
Yeah, these guys are the cream of the crop here. I also like what zerorush did with his sword beams. He went down to the where he had to spawn the Stalfos and just used sword beams to take them out instead of using pots.
Eastern Palace, the most exciting of dungeons. A lot of pumping. Zero's going to be doing a little trick here called the, generally and properly called the big key skip. I mean, he gets the boots. Oh, I am happy. But anyways, you damage boost into that Popo, and you can use those iframes to go pick up the pot and trigger the chest to show up without having to kill all the enemies in the room. Saves a good bit of time.
Yeah, and this is also very common within the no major glitches category. So these guys know exactly what to do for that damage boost. And now with the boots in hand, a lot of amazing tech can be achieved here.
Yeah, this game just gets miles better with the boots, so I'm pretty happy to see all that stuff early. early boots, early tempered, early red mail. Should be a pretty fun seed to watch.
Oh, definitely. Now zerorush is heading for the lumberjack ledge with the boots in hand. After he kills Aga 1, we will have access to that. Just a heart piece, so not going to kill Aga 1 for that. But at this point in time, really, all we really need to make Aga Darkworld a possibility is just a hook shot, or maybe the flippers.
Well, it could be like hookshot or flip or something like that in that area. So they do have access to it. I think this does make sense that Zero's just going to check off these 2 locations real quick right now. The only thing he has access to right now is the item the old man will give him for rescuing him, and then the item inside Spectacle Rock.
Yeah, because with that lamp, that pretty much brought Death Mountain into logic. So we will see what the old man has for us today. And the shovel. So zerorush continuing to do the whole pumping thing by just pumping up the stairs in Death Mountain. This makes climbing it really quicker. Just 3 bombs inside Spectacle Rock, and on top of Spectacle Rock, and 10 arrows inside Spectacle Rock. So we have one more check we gotta do, and that's the shovel.
Shovel, and I believe Agina is still on the table as well. I don't think Zero or Andy ever made it over there.
No, they have not. And really, I would probably say if zerorush wants to, after he does the shovel, could probably leave Agata's cave behind until much later. 20 rupees on the shovel spot.
Yeah, and Zero just making the decision to full clear light world before making this Aga play. Again, because the Dark World access is so limited, this does make sense. This is kind of like a safety play. If there is something here, then he's going to lose a lot of time by being forced into probably a double dip of pod. And if there's nothing here, it's only really going to cost him about 30 seconds. So this is just kind of playing it a little safe. Make sure that he's not going to get completely hosed by the seed.
Yeah, on top of the desert ledge, we had a piece of heart, and now Agata, zerorush going to go for Agata's cave now. That means that this will be the last check that he can really do. Again, playing it safe here. Andy going to do a super a spin dash in order to climb out the mountain. Also, a little more
and a bomb climb.
Bomb. Oh, I love that. And only 20 rupees, so
I think he actually lost time on that bomb climb. The bomb climb is really only worth it if you're going to use bombs right afterwards. So menuing to the bombs just for it. He might just be showing off, just showing some unused tech that you don't see very often.
Yeah, so really at this point, Pyramid Ledge is all we really have to do. Yeah, because zerorush is heading for Aga 1.
Yeah, chat calling me out. He already had bombs equipped because he doesn't have a bow yet. So, Shadow's the bomb climb. Now, zerorush is going to just crush these rooms. Zerorush has picked up AD recently, and in that category, we use the Tempered Sword. So he knows all these strats. He doesn't have Fire Rod, which he's used to having here, but definitely knows how to get through these rooms optimally with the Tempered Sword, which you don't see all that often. So,
yeah, with the Tempered Sword, like I said, it just cuts through enemies like a hot knife through butter. And to answer a question in chat, all dungeon AD stands for all dungeons, so that means the entire and every single dungeon in the game.
Yeah, it's a major glitch category that is running on the vanilla ROM. I mean, a very good circle of pots. That room is actually pretty tough to do with his equipment level.
So, zerorush is approaching AGA 1 right now. We're going to do a quick game here. How many blue balls are we going to get? From 0 to 15, get your guesses in now. And I should probably explain the AGA fight for those who are not familiar with this game. So AGA 1 is a fight that you do before you enter the Dark World in the vanilla game, after getting all 3 pendants and going grabbing the Master's Sword. Now, AGA 1 has a specific pattern. The first pattern that you're going to see is going to be a guaranteed red ball. And from attacks 2, 3, and 4, can either have a blue ball or a red ball and a blue ball. And the 5th one is going to be a lightning attack, which AGA will be in the top center of the screen and will shoot a lightning attack. And then the process continues.
Yeah, and the nice thing about Randomizer is the blue balls are standardized between these 2 runners, so neither one is going to gain or lose any time in this fight.
Yeah, so far I've seen 1. And one tech that you might see zerorush do is, since he has a shield, he can grab the back wall, and he will save some lag frames. But it looks like that was 1.
I think so. If it's you don't get a second lightning phase, it's less than 3, so it's either 1 or 2.
And zerorush going to check what's on the pyramid ledge. It's going to be a Book of Medora.
So that puts Desert Palace completely in logic. Can go full clear with the boots, the Medora, and the gloves. So maybe the seed is pulling us there, but it's a pendant, so that's still not a very attractive option. Right now, really, all we have is pod until it kicks us out because we don't have the bow. I believe one of those potions was a blue goo, so Zero may opt to do the potion camera unlock glitch that you can do with a potion to break the bow lock on the right side. There's also a hover that you can do. I know Andy is a fan of that one. We may be seeing that if he decides to come in here as well.
Yeah, and looking at what our maps had, we had both medallion dungeons with pendants, Turtle Rock being a green pendant, and it looks like Pod is also a 5/6 crystal, along with Skull Woods.
So whether or not this dungeon is bow locked is completely dependent on this first chest. If there is not a small key in here, then this is logically bow locked. So we'll see what this has in store for us today. And it is not, which makes sense. Again, there really isn't a lot available on this side. So it seems kind of likely that the answer may be in here. The book doesn't only opens 2 locations for us. We don't have access to the Ether tablet or the Bombos tablet right now, so that's not currently the answer.
Yeah, we would need a mirror in order for that to happen. Or if for the Ether tablet, we'd also need a hammer.
Hammer
if
and
we
Hookshot, yeah. It looks like Zero is going to be doing the hover I was talking about before. This is one of the more difficult hovers. You have to clip through this rail at a very specific X pixel.
Yeah, and for those who aren't aware about hovering, I don't really want to go into huge amounts of detail. I think Apathy can actually explain this a little bit further.
Yeah, basically all it is you can only release the dash button for 1 frame while you're over a pit, and the game won't actually trigger its falling animation. So you don't actually have to go. So people think you have to go like this really high rate. Really, all that matters is that you only push it for less than 30 frames, and you only release it for 1 frame. And there's a certain technique that everyone tends to use, like curling your fingers over and doing it with your fingernails.
Yeah, there's also a specific rhythm that you have to get into in order to make that happen. It looks like zerorush is going to do that pushing camera unlock as you were talking about. And the reason why this works is that when you unlock the camera and you grab the wall, you can move the gorillas, or the mimics, as we call them, off to the side of the wall, and the game just thinks that they're all dead, so it'll unlock the door for you.
Yeah, like I said, that hover is pretty difficult. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Andy try it right here. So it makes sense it's a little bit slower to go down and around with that potion, but it's faster than failing it a couple times. Zero's a really good hover, so it's just a matter of being comfortable with this exact one. And here we see Andy going for it, like I said. So we'll see if he can get in there.
Perfect. Like what zerorush and Andy is doing right now, he's actually doing a death warp on the spike, because no matter what, the spike will always do 1 damage, regardless of what melee you have.
Meanwhile, on the left side, Zero is doing the hammer jump. This is a double pixel perfect trick. What that means is the pixel you put the first bomb down at and the pixel you have to be standing at when the bomb hits you are both perfect on the Y coordinate. The X coordinate is actually fairly lenient. It just can't be like all the way over to the right side. Don't see it too much in Rando. It's only useful if you have the big key, have another small key to get out of this room. So it saves less time than it does in the vanilla speedrun, but it still makes this routing a little bit more efficient because you can just come all the way through and then go to those right rooms instead of having to come up to the right and then double back.
And zerorush got the Cane of Samaria out of the big chest. It's also used in Key Sanity, which we won't see in this tournament, but in Key Sanity, it's also used in case you want to save a key.
Yeah, of course. In standard modes, it's generally not seen too much. It's exciting when you can see it, though. Let's see if Andy goes for the same thing. Yeah, and he will be. Oh, no, he decided against it. He may have just been on the wrong pixel when he went, and because it doesn't save that much time, instead of trying to menu buffer a bunch to get on the right pixel, you are on a clock there because the bridge is falling down after you, so you have to place that first bomb down relatively quickly. So he may have just decided, well, I didn't hit the pixel, I don't really want to do a bunch of pause menus, because like I said, it doesn't save that much time as opposed to the vanilla run. So Zero did skip, he got the book on Pyramid, and then he did end up skipping Catfish, was the other thing that Aga Access got him.
Yeah, so here we have two items that we can grab from here. And this is a dungeon that you could clear if you want to grab the pendant. Of course, this is not the green pendant that's on Total Rock, but in case for whatever reason the pedestal has an item that we need, then we would need to get to clear this dungeon out. So I wouldn't be surprised if zerorush decides to save and quit afterwards. There's one of our items right now, and that was a heart container.
Yeah, I mean, Zero will definitely be, since he's making this play, he's going to definitely find both of these items. So if Lamo has an item, he'll definitely kill Lamo. If Lamo doesn't have an item, I suspect he won't. And it looks like Andy is also making this same play, also deciding not to check Catfish. Right now, it's basically a 50-50. Zero already got checked the torch item. There's only 2 items in desert, so we know that's not it. So it's pretty sure the only places it can be are either here or on Catfish at that point. So if it's not here, both of these guys are going to feel really bad about their decisions.
Yeah, it's not. It's going to feel really bad here. So,
oh boy, that is the second item.
So it's going to be on Catfish then.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything else that's in logic that we haven't seen in logic or accessible even.
In Zero Rush,
Looks like he may be killing Lammo. This is a bit surprising.
yeah, I'm
Or
actually.
he's considering his options.
Okay, he must have not counted his items there. So, because Lambo only has the map here, so he looked at his inventory and saw that he has a compass and a key. So, really, and we found 2 items. So, he's gonna head over to the Dark World here through the castle portal. That's positioned right outside the entrance.
Cape was in Blind's hut, which Zero actually did not check. So Zero is in Zero's mind. He's probably pretty worried that something is in Blind's hut. He's probably making the play that if something big was there, he's already in a really big hole at this point. A lot of times when you skip something, especially on these one-on-ones, you just kind of have to play it like, well, if something is there, I just have to take the loss. So he's sticking to his convictions and heading to Catfish, and it probably is going to pay off for him, unless I have forgotten something, which is entirely possible.
Yeah, and Andy now it's actually saved and quit there.
And Zero gets the quick fish.
Quick fish.
Yeah, you can actually throw that rock outside of the rock circle and still get it, and Zero went for it and got it. That's pretty nice.
You get a hammer for it too. That's impressive. Wow. I've never seen that at all.
Yeah, there's I'm not entirely sure, but it's only 2 or 3 pixels that it works from, and it's a little risky because you can throw the rock onto the actual circle and it's just going to break up and you're not even going to spawn the catfish.
So now Zero Rush is going to head for Hype Cave, or as I like to call it, either Overhyped Cave or Cave 73. Preferably Cave 73, because this cave has not been really hype as of late, that's for sure.
Yeah, at this point, most of the Dark World is open up at this point. We still have Village of Outcasts. We can do Thieves Town. Interesting that Zero is starting with Hype Cave in this aspect instead of going straight to Village of Outcasts and Thieves Town. Thieves Town is a crystal, so it has to be done anyways. It's never going to get any easier than it is at this point. He has boots. The Temper Sword almost doesn't even matter for Thieves Town for Zero. It's got the hammer, and you can combo Thieves Hype Cave in kind of nicely afterwards with the South Dark World checks. It looks like Andy's gonna be doing the same thing.
Yeah, Hype Cave had a whole bunch of red things, so I'm just going to call it Red Thing Cave.
This isn't how I would route it, but these guys are much better at rando than I am. That are still in this tournament. I am not, so I will defer to their decisions.
And yeah, I just straight up not play any qualifiers because I am terrible at this game. So Zero Rush is going to do the digging game. It's cost 80 rupees to play. And no matter how many digs Zero Rush will do, the maximum that you can really get is 30. In vanilla game, it's just you have to take it's random how many digs you need to get that all important 100% heart piece, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, in the vanilla game, it's actually the first. I think it's actually came up the other day. It's 20 or something digs are 0% chance, and after that it goes to 132 for every dig. So it's not guaranteed that you can get it. You can sit there for a very, very long time and not get it. In Randomizer, because that is annoying, they changed it that the seed assigns it a certain number between 1 and 30, and you just need to make that many digs, and all players on that seed will get it at the same time.
Yeah, it's much quicker than it is in the vanilla game. And Zero Rush is going to head for the Village of Outcasts. Either that, or he might be heading up for Skullwoods. Without the fire rods, I think it's best for Zero to go for the Village of Outcasts.
Yeah, one of the reasons they may have done this the South Dark World checks before doing Thieves Town is if you do Thieves Town and you haven't done the South Dark World, you're most likely going to get pulled down there to do all those checks into Hype Cave. And as opposed to this situation, we do Thieves Town, you can come to the North Dark World. But again, Zero is surprising us, and he's going straight into Skull Woods.
Yeah, it's to be fair, it is also a quick check with again also 2 items, but we will need the fire rods in order to clear out the rest of Skullwoods.
Meanwhile, Andy is heading up Death Mountain. Did he get a hookshot that I didn't notice?
I've
been paying attention to Zero because they were kind of following in each other's footsteps. And I didn't see if Andy had made a diversion, though. I don't know where he would have gotten it, though. Oh, is he going? Oh, no, I know what he's doing. Okay. All right. This is... So he's going for a Death Warp hover is what he's going for. And his signal goes out when... Oh, he resets because he didn't get it. Okay. So what Andy was trying to do there, I assume he's got a fairy in a bottle. I think you have to kill yourself on the same frame you hit the hole, and the fairy is going to revive you, and then you have 1 frame to start the hover to get over to the East Death Mountain. Unfortunately, he doesn't get it there, so he's going to be going back into logic here. That's a shame. That'd been exciting to see, but explains why I was very confused.
Again, Andy's surprising us with surprising me with all these tricks that I've never heard of. Like, this is really cool to watch.
Yeah, the fairy revival hover is a pretty tough one. To be able to do it, you obviously have to hover to start with, which only a subset of people can. And then on top of that, there's the added difficulty of getting the timing right for throwing the bomb and killing yourself, then getting the fairy revival, and then I believe you have to be hitting A on the very first frame. So it is a very difficult trick to get.
Now, Zero Rush heading for the village of Outcasts. I'm assuming that he didn't find anything of use here. Starting with the C-shaped house, we have a heart piece. Andy gonna give us the chess game, and that was Sank Heart. It's the only heart container in the game that refills your heart, all your health. And Andy hitting for the Thieves Town.
Yeah, after all that, Andy actually ends up going into Thieves Town first. He didn't do any of the Village of Outcasts or Skull Woods checks, coming straight into Thieves Town. I'd like this just a little bit better, making the routing of doing Village of Outcasts completely first, then into Thieves Town is a little worse than just throwing Thieves Town into the middle. If you don't need an item that's going to make Thieves Town easier, my personal preference is to head straight into Thieves Town and then clean up those Village of Outcasts checks on the way out.
Yeah, that's what I do as well. I leave out the tavern until after I'm done with Thieves Town.
So this dungeon is going to be very straightforward for both of these guys. This dungeon ends up in Randomizer, plays out very similar to how it would in NMG anyways. So we're just going to be seeing a couple dashing through these rooms. Andy's coming up on what we call the Hellway. There's 1 pixel here in the very middle of the room that he gets, and you can just dash up the entire thing. Unfortunately, there's a lot of RNG in this room. You have to read the first little Patrick Star guy in the room, and he can take it away from you right off the bat. And he got the good RNG there, but you can still get even more worse RNG later that you can't do, and that's what happened to him. Fortunately, he did have the Temper Sword, was able to kill the guys in his way and make it through pretty cleanly.
Yeah, all these small execution things that do help out in the very end. There's the Titan's Mitts within the attic of Thieves Town.
Yeah, getting Titan's Bit in Thieves Town is a pretty nice location to get them. You can do the Smith sequence right after. Unfortunately, they don't have either Mirror or the Flute, which really speeds up those checks. So it'll be interesting to see whether either of them decide to make any of them.
And the maiden chest has 20 rupees. That also means, so as we found the key here, we can access the big chest of Thieves Town, which normally has the Titan's Mints here. And instead, we're going to get ourselves a hard piece.
And Andy's going to be heading into his blind fight. This fight is 100% scripted. Well, once you know the script, it's pretty easy to pull off. Generally, it's not going to go wrong. Besides that, he's got red mail and everything, so this should be a pretty quick fight.
Yeah, this is something that I always try to go for and often miss. But if you know the script, you can easily clean this fight out. And just like Andy did, this is a very, very clean fight for Andy, and that will be first blood for him.
Yeah. The nice thing about the blind script that I tell anyone trying to learn it is the more you don't have to learn. It's not an all or nothing thing. You don't have to learn the whole thing, and if you don't know, you don't go for it. Like the first phase is just hold your sword out. It's pretty easy, and then even the fourth hit is just holding your sword into Blind's head. And then just as you practice it, you can just add on one more hit or two more hits. It's just gonna make the rest of the fight easier for you. So I highly suggest at the very least, learning the first phase into the poke on the second phase, and then you can just slowly get better at it.
And the powder was picked up by Andy in the tavern or the brewery.
Yeah, Zero got that before he went in.
Yep.
No mirror here though, so we won't be able to check it right now. We'll have to come back later to see what that is. And Zero Rush making use of some Japanese 1.0 tech. If you push the dash and the item button on the same frame, it will use the item while you're dashing. So Zero is using there to mow down all those pegs. One weird thing about that trick is it doesn't work if you don't have a sword, which can be very annoying, but we have a lot of swords today, so it's not a problem.
Yeah, the randomizer does run on the Japanese 1.0 version of the game, which is why that hammer dash works.
Yeah, as far as gameplay goes, the randomizer and Japanese 1.0 play pretty much exactly the same. We mentioned way before with the fake flippers, there are a couple of patches that got applied to prevent some nasty things happening. But besides that, anything that works on JP 1.0 will be working here.
And the bow was found within King's Tomb.
Yeah, so I'd see how fast they go back to Pod and Eastern. I wasn't counting the items in there. I don't know if there's an item left in Pod or Eastern Palace. They will need to finish both of them before the season ends, but right now that bow really isn't giving them much because they both broke the bow when they were in Pod the first time.
Yeah, Pod is one of those dungeons that can get confusing because of the fact that there is a lot of keys in it. And it looks like Zero Rush is opting to grab the Cane of Burna here.
Yeah, Spy Cave is in logic now with that cane. He doesn't have a lot of hearts to be able to just get through it with just by taking damage. There are a couple neat boot strats you can use. I think you still need it's 11 or 12 hearts to be able to get all the way through there without any sort of invulnerability item.
And Andy heading for the magic bat. Just powder the cup or whatever, and the magic bat will come out to curse you with a mushroom.
Jeez.
Oh, great! This is the reverse of the fetch quest, because you have to get the potion. You have to get the mushroom to give to the potion shop from the witch to give you the powder, and that powder gives you half magic.
Yeah, it looks like Andy may be chasing that down right away. No, he's going back to the eastern area. So since Andy is doing this right now, there's got to be an item on Armos.
And Zero doing the same thing as well.
This is very interesting. I mean, I suppose there really isn't a lot left.
Yeah, there's really, you have to either do Eastern or Pod.
Yeah, I'm suspecting they're both coming straight to Eastern. I suspect Armos may have an item and Pod does not. That they're going to be a little bit more careful in counting the items in the dungeons than we are.
Yeah, when you're racing, you have to consider how many items are in try again. You have to consider how many items are in a specific dungeon. English is hard.
Yeah, Eastern has 3 items total. Pod has 5 items. A lot of times, it's a lot of dungeons. All you do is just count the map and the compass, and once you have those, you know that there has to be an item on the boss. Or if you're missing one, there is not one on the boss. Zero killing 4 Stalfos there. That is interesting. I've not seen anyone do that before.
He might have been a little bit low when he was doing was tricking the Stalfos.
Maybe Zero's a pretty smart guy. You know, looks at a lot of weird strats that people haven't thought of before. So he may have just been experimenting with that, and if he has the bow and, you know, a powerful enough sword, that may actually be faster and save you a little walking.
Yeah. Andy approaching the Armos Knights. This is a boss that you can set up for a quick kill, as you're going to see right here.
Andy's doing the standard top right strat. See if Zero decides to go for a different strat. There's a bunch of different versions of the strats for Armos. There's a relatively new one that doesn't really save time, but makes getting faster times easier. That's kind of become in vogue, and we'll see if Zero goes for it here.
And Zero Rush will soon get the flippers that Andy picked up on Armos.
Zero just going for the standard shot as well. The shot I was talking about, after the 5th shot right, you can shoot one arrow down, and then you ended up finishing them off a little differently.
And Andy gonna head down towards the flute spot number 5, I think 5, and he's gonna head for the for Pod.
So this may be why they were doing Eastern first, because it makes this routing into Pod a little bit easier afterwards, or a little bit faster. Excuse me. This is some very interesting routing from these two players. Not something you see normally during a seed. The seed's playing out a little bit weird. So it's impressive that both of these guys, you know, just recognize what the fastest options are. Again, this is why they're just 2 of the top competitors in this tournament.
Yeah, well, with Andy and Zero Rush having similar routes amongst each other, of course, with the one exception of Zero Rush not having the cape and Andy having the cape, even then, they still have similar routing, and it's mostly an execution game for these 2 runners.
Yeah, the main differences right now are Zero skipped blindside and didn't get the cape, and Andy had that little adventure up on Death Mountain with the failed fairy revive hover. So And then Zero cleared Skull Woods. That's why Andy has got a little bit of a lead now. So Andy has not done Skull Woods at all. So he doesn't know what's there. Zero hasn't done Blind's Hut, so he doesn't know that the cape is there. But neither of those locations, I think, are going to matter. Zero did not get anything out of Skull Woods, and I'm not sure if we've seen the bumper, but unless Bumper has something, then it doesn't matter.
We have not seen the bumper ledge.
Zero doing a very nice mimic strat there. You can use that strat to get a couple extra drops in that room and still go through the fight very quickly. Shadows to FSG.
Oh, I love this turtle room from Andy. And just past these turtles, we have the Helmets Arcane fights. Just 17 hammer shots to the helmet, and then just some sword spins or sword slashes with a tempered sword, and you're good to go.
Yeah, with the tempered... No, Andy's going to actually use the hammer here. Yeah, that makes sense. The tempered spin's going to do effectively 2 hits worth, so he just did hammer strats for the first 2 hits and finished the helmet off with a spin. It would have been 4 slashes otherwise, so saving a little time there.
And then he would be is going to be rewarded with 10 bombs. That is actually the same bombs, the same 10 bombs that the uncle would give you if you were playing standard without a short sword.
Yeah, both players just having very good helmet fights.
Looks like Andy might be heading for Ice Palace.
Yeah, he has bombs down. He's got the flippers from Eastern. So this is fully clearable. It may or may not be in logic, or the full thing may or may not be in logic, depending on the key layout. I am terrible at figuring out if Ice Palace is hookshot locked or not. But that's not going to matter. Andy, he will be able to full clear this, and I'm sure he knows the Ice Palace logic. So it may be able to give him a hint about where the hookshot is if he finds something else in here.
Yeah, the one thing about the key logic I know for Ice Palace is if Colster has a key, then the dungeon is the boss. I think the dungeon is Samaria locked.
Yes, that I do know about Ice Palace. The Colster has a key at Samaria locked, but they have Samaria right now, so that's not going to be an issue.
Yep. So just looking at what we need a fire rod for Skull Woods, and we need a hookshot for Swamp Palace. And I think we should be good to go, unless I'm missing something else.
Hookshot, fire rod, and mirror by my count.
Right, yeah, the mirror first, Swamp Palace.
Yeah, so if we find the fire rod first out of those 3 items, or even before hookshot and mirror, they'll be able to go mode Swamp Palace, which is whatever a player likes to do. No one likes full clearing swamp. It's a slow dungeon.
Yeah, it looks like Andy is going to hover the usually where you need the Ice Palace bomb jump. Instead, Andy's going to hover it, so it saves a lot more time.
Interesting. I'm just to see if Zero does the same.
Yeah, it saves more time than just setting up for the bomb jump, but he has the bomb in hand, so he might be just going... He's just going to go for the bomb jump here.
Yeah, you have to be really quick with your hovers to be able to get it.
Yeah, it saves... the hover saves more time than it is to set up the bomb jump, because you have to wait for the bomb to explode and all that.
Yeah, if you're fast enough, you can actually beat the fire bar, and you can save the bonk as well. Oh, Zero, you're my hero. Zero going for the Ice Palace stair clip. Very nicely done. It's a little bit faster to actually do that clip and get on the right side, but just getting through there at all is pretty difficult.
Yeah, it's a clip that I don't know how to do, how to set up for it, but it's really cool when someone does it.
Yeah, basically you just need to have some diagonal momentum going through the stairs there. To get right side, there's only it's only the top pixel, but you can nudge a little bit and still get it to make it fairly consistent. I think Andy already did this bomb jump, but since we don't have hookshot, we're gonna have to bomb jump across this room as well. It just requires being on a specific pixel. And Zero Rush getting it nicely. There's actually a slightly easier setup to that one if you're trying it. If you know how to do the spin strats to put you one pixel off, if you just do that to put yourself on the very bottom pixel, or even just putting yourself manually and face left, you can just get the bomb jump that way.
Andy heading for the iced tea room for 5 rupees.
And Andy hovering over this pit. That is literally the easiest bomb jump in the game, and he still decides to hover it.
Just because, why not? And there's the mirror for that.
Yeah, so there is the mirror. I do not know if that's hookshot locked or not. So that mirror opens up a couple overworld checks, and it opens up the front of a swamp palace. The thing that's kind of annoying about getting the mirror late is a lot of the mirror checks are kind of off by themselves, like Graveyard Ledge and Cave 45, and it's kind of hard to combo them late. That does actually give us the East Death Mountain and Dark Death Mountain access, which is a bunch of items over there. There's 6 items in Paradox Cave, plus 1 in Spiral, 2 in Silver Bunny, and 4 in Hookshot Cave.
Yeah, that was a very clean fight, Cold fight for Andy. That's now up to 4 crystals. And Zero Rush will also be getting 4 crystals, and probably going to do the same thing too. Oh.
Yeah, Zero getting hit by ice, trying to set up the single spin there. Bombos throws off your timing in this fight pretty bad, so it's just something that happens if you don't have Fire Rod in this fight.
Yeah.
And it does look like Andy is going to be heading up to Death Mountain, and I highly suspect that Zero is going to be falling right behind him. This is way more attractive than any of those one-off mirror checks that I listed.
Yeah, he'll have access to Ether tablets. Bombo's tablet is now available to Andy, but since he's going up Death Mountain, it's a lot more favorable than going for Ether tablet by itself. Oh, and one thing to note about since we now have the mirror, you'll see runners having to save and quit whenever they're trying to save and quit to the light world. They have to mirror first before they save and quit, because when you have the mirror and you save and quit in the dark world, you'll spawn on top of the pyramid.
Yeah, that's another one of those random patches that I was talking about before. Basically, the requirement is defeating Aga and having the mirror. The vanilla game would only do it if you defeated Aga, because there's no way of doing that without getting the mirror unless you're breaking the game with glitches.
Yeah, and in Tower of Hera, there's a key for Andy. So we're gonna check out what's here. there's a map. So technically, the dungeon is fire locked. So, I mean, since we have a lamp, we should be okay here. So
And
Andy,
no, oh, sorry, go ahead.
you can go ahead.
I was just saying because we don't have the hookshot, we're going to have to do these this bottom room because we can't make use of the Hera pot glitch.
Yeah, this is a glitch that was recently discovered. When you have a hookshot in hand, you can clip into the pot by doing a wide variety of setups for it. One involves having to line yourself up with one of the tiles, and then placing a bomb. Just add another specific subpixel, and then line yourself up on another tile, and then pause buffering until it's for a visual cue, and then once you get damage boosted by the bomb, you'll actually be 1 pixel within the pot, and then you can get the hook shot out, clip into it, do a left, then a right, a left, then an up, and then you'll fall into the pot, and you'll spawn on top of Tower Hera.
Yeah, you can actually get in that pot normally just by falling down to it from above. So it is an intended pot that you fall into. There's just a way of doing it without having to go up the tower, which allows us to break the basement. But again, no hookshot today, so we got to go through everyone's least favorite room.
Yeah, it's a tower room that you can line yourself up with the pots, and you can just have invulnerability enough so that you can sit back and think about what you want to do next.
Yeah, and all of a sudden Andy's not brave enough to hover. that makes a lot of sense, though. That is that pit. If you fall into, you fall down 2 holes. He's not really going to be saving any time with the hover there. So Andy may be a show off, but definitely a smart to decide not to just show off his hovering ability right there.
Yeah, instead he opted to do a bomb jump.
And Zero goes for the early bomb jump and gets it. That's very nice.
Excellent. Andy now on the Moldorm fight, and that was an easy kill there. Moldorm did go into his enraged state, so he moved a lot more faster, but Andy managed to clean that up, and now he's up to 5 crystals.
Oh, and Azure making another good point that you definitely don't want to hover that as well because of the star tiles.
Yeah, those star tiles will pretty much just make you fall no matter what, I feel.
Very nice dead rock by Andy.
Yeah, that was a nice clean fight for Zero Rush too.
And Andy gets dead rocked again. What a good enemy.
Yeah, they take those dead rocks take quite a while in order to go back to its normal state, and you have to like use Quake in order to get rid of them. That's their only way of getting rid of them.
I think his initial plan was to just go to Turtle Rock, go to Dark World there. But since he got dead rocked, he didn't feel like dealing with all that. He's just going to make this loop right here.
Speaking of the Quake, there it is, like right in Paradox Cave.
Yeah, so with that Quake that is accessible, oh right. So that means we have access to both our medallion dungeons no matter what they are, so there's no need to scout them. Obviously they're pendants, so they're not required to be done, but there could be a item required in there like Hookshot or Fire Rod.
And of course was trying to do another hover, but fell. So instead he's going to take a portal to Dark Death Mountain from the bottom instead of on top of Turtle Rock. And Zero Rush opting to do the bomb jump instead. That's actually one of the more easier bomb jumps in my opinion, because they line yourself up when the game is trying to correct you from not falling into a pit.
Yeah, that corner is weird. It just kind of sucks you into it, and it makes the setup pretty easily. Man, these dead rocks are out for these players today. Holy. I cannot believe Zero got through that. That is This man is blessed.
Yeah, so that was also all three. That was also all three of the medallions. So, if they want to go dive medallion dungeons, with Turtle Rock being Quake here, they can do so without any worry. Randy's going to do Hookshot Cave. Maybe you want to hover as. Maybe want to hover it too.
I will bet a large chunk of change that both of these guys are going to be hovering this cave right here. So.
Yeah, it's a straight hover. It's not like it's really hard. There's a flute for it,
and it immediately pays off.
Here's another hover here for Andy.
So the only hover we saw Zero do today, he had a little trouble with. Zero is really good at hovering. The first one he did, like I said, he had the potion glitch to get around it. I suspect he will attempt this a few more times if he is unable to get the first try.
Yeah.
But if he has any troubles, this could be an advantage for Andy.
So with the flute now in hand, we have access to the mire area. Oh.
Hovering is one of those things that some days you are just lights out on it, and some days you can't even get them started.
Unless you're Andy, and then you can do it like perfectly most of the time.
I've seen Andy have days where he just can't do it either. It's one of those things that it's like sometimes it's not your day. That is unfortunate for Zero that he's unable to get it.
Yeah, that does mean though that flute is actually hookshot locked. So Zerorush heading for Spiral Cave instead, and Andy is going to go for just going for the first chest of Turtle Rock. He's got a key here, so he's actually going to head for the back.
Yeah, the fact that really all they're looking for is Fire Rot and Hookshot at this point. The Turtle Rock play is not too bad. Turtle Rock's going to tend to kick you out fairly quick without the Fire Rod. It depends if Chomps have a key right here. Andy trying a pretty nice strat to get through there with a kicking the Samari block. Unfortunately, the Chomps took it away from him, which they love to do. But Chomps does have a key, so Andy's going to be able to make it. I think he can make it all the way to Laser Bridge now, no matter what the layout is.
Yeah, that room with the chain chops, I kind of call it the worst room in the entire game because those chain chops hurt.
Oh, funny you should mention that. I'll add your vote to the list.
What vote?
We've been having there's a room in Super Metroid called Worst Room in the Game. There's been a kind of a joke, which is the one in Link to the Past. So Chomps is a leading contender, I'll say that.
Yeah, that's actually where I got the idea for that anyway. So
it's really neck and neck between that and Mummy Statue and Skullwoods.
I mean, yeah, that's an annoying room, but I don't think it's the worst room. If you know what you're doing, then because the Gibdos actually come towards you instead of it's like they come towards you.
There's a lot going on in that room. Trust me.
Yeah,
they're both just RNG nightmares, is what it is.
Yeah, but yeah. Anyways, Andy got a key from the lava chest, heading for Mimic Cave.
Yeah, so right now, Zero really needs the Fire Rod to not be flute locked. Not having the flute is gonna slow Zero down a little bit at this point, although not too bad. Really, the only flute point he really needs is to get to Skull Woods. So if Fire Rod is not flute locked, it actually could be a detriment to Andy, because Andy may... Ooh. Was that Hookshot?
That was Hookshot.
Okay, so if Fire Rod is in... So Zero will be getting this soon. If Fire Rod is in Swamp, then Zero still has a very good chance at this. If Fire Rod is in Misery Mire, then it's going to be an issue.
Yeah. So now that Hookshot is now in Logic,
Although, yeah, actually, that's actually pretty good for Zero because he can go right back to Hookshot Cave right here. He's not gonna have to make another climb. I wasn't thinking about that.
Yeah, because now that flute's now in logic with the hookshot.
Yeah, so it's just gonna cost Zero a little bit of time going back to Hookshot Cave, unless he decides to skip it. He could make that choice. I have a feeling he's going to go, especially since he missed the hover. He knows who he's playing. He knows Andy definitely is going to get those items.
Or if it's really bad, since Andy decided to save and quit after getting the hookshot, what if the fire rod was in, let's say, Laser Bridge? That would be painful.
Yeah, again, it would depend if Zero decides to go on and complete this dungeon or not. Since Andy had already done Hookshot Cave, the only thing Hookshot really opens up is the back of Swamp, and Zero does decide to make the same play and save and quitting out of this.
So I like this trick from Andy, just starting up a dash while he's pulling the lever.
Oh, right. Yeah, so Zero is going back up to Hookshot Cave. The problem Zero had was since you have to come out into the overworld to go do the Mimic cave checks. That means his mirror basically wasn't going to help him at all enter a rock. So unfortunately, he does have to come up the long way, but this is just purely protecting against the fact that he's playing Andy. And the fact that he knows he should have been able to get those items anyways.
Yeah. So Andy and Swamp Palace, if this is the fire rod here, then really Andy, he's already has enough a lead from mostly Zero Rush having doing some tech, especially with the fact that trying to do the hover on the hookshot cave, trying to skip the hookshot entirely, didn't go as well, and some also potentially missing out on Blind's Hut with maybe, let's say, the fire rod was on Bumper Ledge, and that would probably gonna do it for Zero Rush there, but we haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, really the difference right now is Zero had done Skull Woods, and Andy hasn't. At this point, we know that Skull Woods is going to be a go mode dungeon for Andy, because once he finds the fire rod, there's no reason to make any other checks.
Yeah.
So it's that and this extra climb up to Hookshot Cave. It's pretty much the only difference. The only thing that really went wrong on Andy's side is wasting some time from a failed fairy hover revival to East Death Mountain early.
Yeah, even then, he still saves some. He still is ahead of Zero Rush.
It really just comes down to where this fire rod is.
Of course, we know it's not in the back of Skull Woods because we need the fire rod to get to the back of Skull Woods anyway. So Zero Rush is going to activate the flute. He will have access to a bird that will give 8 predefined locations, and that also gives access to the mire area.
Yeah, we'll see if Zero decides to come into Swamp right after Andy.
Because Andy has not activated his flute yet. So he was thinking, since he activated the flute,
Zero's going straight to Mire. I think it definitely makes sense for Andy not to activate his flute if he's going to come to Swamp. In the case that, let's say Fire Rod is like on Argus or something, he would have to dash over to Kakariko anyways, and if Fire Rod isn't here, he had to do that to go activate the flute, so it's going to potentially save him a trip. So this is a little pretty smart routing by Andy, knowing that flute may just not be necessary, he doesn't have to deal with it at all. So may save him a couple seconds here.
Yeah, Zero Rush is doing Checkerboard Cave while Andy's doing the Argus fight. Very smooth second phase. Only 3 bombs. That's now brings Andy up to 6 crystals.
So after after Swamp, there's the mirror checks that Andy's going to be doing here. The K45 Graveyard Ledge. I don't think we've seen Bumper Ledge. That's obviously in logic with the cape.
Yeah.
And the rest of Turtle Rock. It's going to be interesting if it's back of Turtle Rock, because both these guys are probably going to be kicking themselves for that.
Yeah, and the pedestal can't have the fire rod anyway, because we need that for Trinax, so pedestal is pretty much dead here. No, it's not even pretty much dead. It's very dead. It's like 100% dead.
Yeah. And yeah, Andy did not do left side swamp. So if Zero does do left side swamp after killing Argus or before killing Argus, and Fire Rod's there, that's going to completely change this match. Purple chest is something else we haven't seen. Andy may be doing that now. Yes, that's what he's going for. Probably going to take this up north and then come back with it.
And he's going to activate his flute, so it'll be his check will be a lot more quicker for this purple chest.
Yeah, this is exactly why Andy didn't activate the flute before, because he knew he was going to do these checks afterwards, and was going to be able to activate this much more efficiently like this.
Yeah, so that's exactly what Andy's going to do. He's going to check the purple chest here, and that's going to be a heart piece.
Yeah, so we're getting down to the locations that it can possibly be.
Andy checking the mushroom.
It was red. I'll give him that.
Yeah, it's only 20 rupees, so off to... Where is he going to go? He's going to head for Mire, the Mire area.
Yeah, since Andy has already done a bit more than Zero, Andy may decide to make the Mire dip right here.
Yeah, since we know that Argus does not have our fire rod, just bombs. Maybe since Andy has done a lot more than zerorush has done, going for the Mire dip would be nice. If the fire rod's here, then oh, there you go.
Yeah, Andy making the Mire dip here makes a lot of sense. I mean, he's got the only places I think he really has left: Graveyard Ledge, Spike Cave, and then the 2 locations in dungeons that he abandoned: Left Side Swamp and Turtle Rock.
Actually going to be leaving the Mire area, probably leaving Mr. Mire behind, and actually heading to Kakariko.
Yeah, you can see Andy kind of making a little double clutch there, not entirely sure what he wants to do. This may be a Skull Woods play into North Dark Hyrule. Or he may skip Skull Woods. No, he is going to go into Skull Woods, it looks like.
Yeah, this will either make or break this run if he decides to head over to Bumper Ledge.
Yeah, you can tell just like based on players routing when they start getting a little nervous in a seed. Andy, this of course being available the entire time. If it was here, he would not feel very good about it. Obviously, it's a one-on-one, so you only have to avoid one other person making this play. But Andy would not be happy to see Fire Rod in here, and he's not going to find it here, so he won't be upset, I guess.
Yeah, it's a quick check anyway, and So it's not like it really hurts.
Yeah, this makes sense. Like I said before, with Zero skipping blindside, just never going back there. Once you skip something, a lot of times you just leave it skipped. This is about the point and time in the seed when you would make this play, right before like some of the really bad checks that are going to take a good bit of time. And Andy's got a pretty good opportunity to combo this in with a couple other checks. So he gets master handed before getting the pinball. Oh boy,
that's a horrible time to get wall mastered.
oh man.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, you got your key, Andy. Good job. Well, Andy had trouble with the one worst room in the game. Let's see how he fares in the other one. Oh, he has the red cane, so this becomes immediately not bad.
Yeah, really, like, again, I don't really consider this room as the worst room in the entire game. I just think the chain chomp room is the worst. And plus, if you have something like Samaria or something, then this doesn't become a problem. I think the only time it becomes a problem is if you have like something like, I don't know, Fighter Sword, and you don't have like a Fire Rod or something. You have to like deal with those Gyptos before you do anything else. At least that's how I do it. All right, make or break here. Is it on bumper ledge? It is not.
I feel like the seed's like taunting these guys now with just throwing so many red objects at them. If anyone's got the Boyne Fire Rod emote, now is the time to use it.
So now Graveyard Ledge for Andy. Zero Rush heading for Spike Cave. All these are do or die, really. Like these are really tough checks to make. A blue boomerang for Graveyard Ledge.
Andy now, leaving the blue boomerang behind. It's shameful.
And then Spike Cave? No, 300 rupees. Nope. So it's Mire.
Mire or Swamp?
Did we check left side Swamp?
No, both players ended up skipping out on it. I think there's only one item over there, so it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So Andy gonna head for Misery Mire, which also requires Quake.
And Andy, remember to killing the bird when Mire is Quake. Quake does not kill the bird, and it will just fly over you during the cutscene and damage you, which is really bad because you want beams for Mire too.
Oh, no kidding. Yeah, because this wizard room.
Yeah, Mire 2 is one of the more fun rooms in the game to learn. Although Andy does not have the Fire Rod that you do this room with a lot. He's going to end up going to the Canis Samara. It does that very well for a backup strat. I think it's still one cycle that. That is ridiculously good.
Yeah, that is impressive.
The hot randomizer only tech coming through for Andy right there. So if these guys stay on the same path, with Zero coming to Mire, and then whether it's in Mire or Swamp at that point, Andy's got a decent chunk of a lead, but it's certainly not insurmountable. This is still in about that GT routing is probably going to matter. The longer that Zero Rush puts off these checks, the worse it's going to get. Oh, I don't think Zero has done purple chest yet? No, he's not, so he's gonna be doing that. Unfortunately, it's... No. I'm wrong.
Oh.
Wait. I think Zero just forgot he had already done Smith Sequencer. It was just a little bit on autopilot right there.
Yeah. Also, to answer our quest, to actually point something up in chat, we actually did clear out the entirety of Turtle Rock, and the dungeon's firelocked, so there was nothing in Turtle Rock. And that also means, also to bring something up in chat, fire rods cannot be on Sahasrara because of the green pendant. So really, at this point, is that Misery? Is just go to Misery Mire, and that might be it.
And that key, it may be that Vitreous has an item.
Yeah, it's not like Fire Rod is hard required because you have because of those torches. You can easily just use the lamp for that.
Yeah, Fire Rod is not required from Misery Mire. Just a fire source is not even required as long as the big key is not on this left side.
Yeah, Andy's gonna go for cutscene chest here. It's a 17-second Rumble Fest, which oddly enough is I think the same as the pod cutscene for the wall opening.
Yeah, it's a pretty long cutscene. Zero's gonna need to scrounge up some magic in this dungeon. He's at pretty much empty. Even with half magic, I don't think that's enough to get through the 4 torches. He won't be able to do the compass. You'll have to get the magic to do the compass torches. Or he may actually, I think, if he remembers, he might get this magic pot in the top right room of Spike Room, and then have enough for compass, and then can get the full magic for the Mire torches room. And he doesn't. All right.
So Andy's heading for Vitreous now.
Fortunately, without the Fire Rod, we won't be able to see the spooky glitch. Fire Rod is required for that. It's really the thing that makes it go. So we're going to be bringing out the 2012 strats right here.
Yeah, this room, Misery Mire, the back of Misery Mire gets a lot more slower when you don't have the Fire Rod for spooky action. It's a really complicated glitch that I really can't understand how it really works. I know it has to do with the bird altitude and all that. It gets confusing.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that goes into it. It's basically just the short version is we're manipulating memory variables to set the offset for the splash damage for the Fire Rod to be at some location on the screen, and there's just specific setups to make that happen.
Yeah, and this variable is called Ancilla. That's why some of the glitches are referred to as Ancilla glitches. So I love that. I love that quick kill from there. And there's the Fire Rod.
There is the Fire Rod.
So 131-26. Andy is now in go mode.
Yeah, this is going to be a little bit over a 3-minute gap. So this is going to be a pretty tough lift for Zero to catch up here, even with significant GT routing divergence. Really, the way we got here, I think Andy just had a little bit more efficient routing. Some of those checks that he was able to combo in and everything paid off for him. Especially with the purple chest, and he was able to combo that within a couple other checks, whereas Zero just had to go all the way over to Darkhold and do it as a one-off. So just a bunch of little stuff like that. This match has been back and forth the entire time. Zero was leading for a good bit of it.
Yeah, this is why this is a very exciting match to watch, because these two runners are the cream of the crop. They are the top players in of this game.
Yeah, Zero Rush is only has to play Andy right now, and is in the second quartile because he had some unfortunately had some tech issues during the qualifiers, and there was a seed he was in GT and was almost certain to win, and unfortunately I believe his computer crashed, so he had to give up one of his best results, and unfortunately he dropped to the second quartile partly because of it, and which means that we got this great matchup for it. So bad for these guys, but and bad for the rest of their group, but good for us, I guess.
Yeah, so Andy's going to do this really quick Mothula fight. Just a matter of trying to make sure Mothula is not on the spikes, and that is an excellent Mothula fight. Okay, so now I think the bot is up or down. I really can't tell.
The bot's still down.
Yeah, but we're going to just play it just for fun anyway. Inside Ganon's Tower, there are 22 locations where the big key could possibly be, from 1 to 22. Get your guesses in chat where you think the big key might be. I'm going to go with... this has been a pretty linear seed, so I'm going to say 3. Why not?
Sure. Zero also having a very good Vidi fight. That's just a completely canned strategy that these guys just have completely memorized. You can see Zero Rush getting down to 1 heart. You may think that's kind of scary, but again, if you know the strat and you've executed a bunch of times, you know how many hearts you need to have going into the fight to be safe, and Zero pulls it off very well.
Funnily enough, Zero Rush picking up the pen did actually, I think, lose him time instead of just saving and quitting like Andy did.
I think the flute here is going to be better, especially with the additional save and quit time on these seeds right now.
Yeah, the save and quit, there's a 1.5 second delay from when you're getting to your from the title screen to the save file. It's actually some weird thing with the newest update. Hopefully that gets fixed up soon.
So Andy opening up GT as Zero Rush is making his way to the Moth fight.
Yeah, this has been a good match for Andy. So 21 chests and a torch is what separates Andy from a big key, and that will separate him. That separates him from Lamolus, Moldorm, Agatu, and Ganon, and then he is golden. Let's do this. Chest number 1 is going to be 10 arrows, and chest number 2 is going to be 3 bombs. We have to go left here because we don't have a key.
Yeah, I think Andy's probably feeling pretty decent about this seed. Where Fire Rod ended up being, it's one of those locations that if your opponent makes that play really early, then so be it. There's really not much point in worrying about it. And like I said, Andy had some pretty good routing this entire seed. Really only one major mistake with that failed Fairy Revival. So
Yeah.
he's probably feeling pretty good. He obviously knows like he can lose this. It's not like 100% in the bag. But he probably doesn't think Zero is going to make such a thin play as that Mire play early anyways, so I wouldn't be too worried about it. And there is the big key. I think that was 4.
That was number 5.
Oh, you're one of those count the torch people.
Well, because there's 22 locations and the torch counts. It counts on the ending screen.
Yeah, and when going to the Mimics room, these moves are very difficult to execute. Andy doing a good job here in Mimics 1, going into Mimics 2. Again, these are just rooms that you have to practice over and over again until you get them down. I'm really hoping Zero gets at least a Mimics room before the seed's over, because he's got a pretty awesome strat for Mimics 1 that I want to show off. Well, not me show off. I can't do it to save my life. It's impossible.
And it looks like mine scroll up the screen, but apparently I see Dog D93 picking number 5. So congratulations, you get a trip on the conductor's Allo Express. Don't ask me why it's called the conductor.
Andy heading into the gauntlet, 5 rooms in a row, have to kill all the enemies in each room to move on. These rooms are pretty RNG heavy. It's one of the main sources of RNG in Ganon's dungeon. So just everything in this dungeon just requires a mountain of practice to get good at. Andy getting some bad RNG there in Gauntlet 3 to have to make that loop around. But making up for it in Gauntlet 4, and then Gauntlet 5. This shot right here actually uses the spooky variable as well. That's why it didn't actually. I think it didn't work because he doesn't have the boomerang, which he so cruelly abandoned in Graveyard Ledge.
But a smooth Lamo 2 fight nonetheless.
Yeah, very nice Lamo 2. Lamo 2 just again has a lot of RNG in it, so it has some really bad patterns. Playing nice with Andy today and getting through it nicely.
Yeah, and the fact that the GT routing is is left because of the fact that there's only two items in the Hope Room. Really, if zerorush had decided to go full left, then this would have been a lot more quicker, but not the case here. So
yeah, where the key was and the layout of the keys really wasn't really any possibility for major divergence on Ganon's tower. And he beating the fire bar in Torches 1, very nicely done. And using the fire rod to save a little bit of time, saving a menu there, since he has half magic.
yeah, this is really good for Andy. I like the fire dash from Andy as well. That saves him more time. And there's zerorush's big key. For that full magic pot
sure why he's, I guess, maybe looking for silvers. Zero doesn't need silvers, but it saves 40 seconds.
And of course, Andy has to do the Moldorm 2 hover.
Very nice hover.
Very nice. And also very quick too. I love that.
Yeah, one of the things with hovering is even when like you can do it, like it's really hard to get it fast too. And there's the Mimic 1 strat by Zero, very nicely done. He's gotten a sub 6 in that room with that strat, which is just insanely fast. Very rude of Andy to be hovering during that room, because that Mimic's Run room honestly is more impressive than the hover.
Yeah. but Andy is in Aga 2. This is looking really good. Pretty nice. Looks like that was 2-2-2.
Yeah, Aga 2, one of just like the hardest fights in the game to do quick. If you can consistently keep it under 3 cycles, that is very good.
I love how like Andy was bombing Aga 2. I just find that kind of amusing.
Yeah, so what he's doing there, he's getting rid of the bombs. It saves you 1 menu move in the Ganon fight, because you don't have to menu over the bombs. Although unfortunately he does have powder. Well, one of the advantages of doing that, if you didn't have powder, it was actually just put you directly on fire rod. So he still has to use the menu.
Not like it matters though. He's doing those hover dashes, those dash pokes. So that way he can get a lot more quicker, and he knows how to manipulate those fire bats. And this is looking really nice for Andy.
Yeah, Andy having just a completely standard Ganon fight here.
Complete with Trident spin and all. He's pretty much playing it as if he was playing NNG. And the silver arrows were in Ganon's tower, funnily enough. So,
I guess the torch glitch opts out of going for the cape spin, and Andy's going to put Ganon into triples for the rest of this fight, and probably going to close this out unless something horrifying happens.
I mean, if he falls on Ganon, it's going to be a close race. He can afford at least one Ganon fall.
I think this torch light here is going to be the... Oh,
That's it.
Never mind. Got it done right there.
Yeah. Get your GGs in chats for Andy, and all he has to do is cross the 1 by 3 bridge, and he will take game 1 of this match between Andy and zerorush. And he has finished with an official SRL time of...
It was
142.57. 142.57.
Andy hitting done on his own timer before hitting done in the SRL. I can respect that.
Yep. And we won't get interviews for either Andy or zerorush because this is a doubleheader. So be sure you stay tuned for the next match, which is going to be coming up pretty soon for that to conclude.
Yeah, they're going straight into that match right after this one. It's going to just be here on Speed Gaming 2. I believe Dante and I think Relkin are going to be commentating that one.
From what I can tell, I think that is the case.
Yeah,
so
zerorush.
Yep. So zerorush, sticking out Aga 2, all he's got to do now is fight the big pig, and he will finish off his seed.
Yeah, I suspect this fight is going to look exactly the same as the fight we just saw from Andy. Ganon warps again are standardized in the randomizer seeds, so pretty much going to look just what we saw before. So while Zero goes through this fight, do you have any thoughts about the seed, how it played out, what you're looking for in the second one? Yeah, and zerorush will be able to choose any changes to the seeds. I'm not sure if he did or not. Obviously, they're going straight into it. But I guess everyone will find out in pretty soon. And I just want to take this moment to remind everyone to follow our runners. Shout outs to our tractor, White Waffles today, doing an excellent job. Just saving our backs a lot in these. It's hard to keep up with everything. So follow our runners, follow our trackers, follow Professor Renderer over here.
I tried my best, and I'm doing. I'm also trying to do some analysis of the seeds, just trying to find like how common is a pedestal seed, how common is an aga seed, etc. So if you want to like watch me do that, then definitely follow me if you really want to do that. So
and of course I cursed Zero. He missed torch glitch at the beginning of this fight, so it's gonna take him a little bit longer to finish this out.
Yeah, but that'll do it for him.
Yeah, it's one of those things, especially Zero probably saw that he had already lost the match, just decided to finish it up since he was close enough. But, just gets in your head a little bit. It's pretty easy to miss that trick. But GG's to Andy, GG's to zerorush. Stay tuned for the second round of this match. It should be just as exciting, if not more exciting, this seed. The seed was very linear, how they went through. Again, it was just really all it came down to was that Andy comboed in a couple checks a little bit more efficiently than Zero did. But shout outs to Zero for never going back to check blind sides.
Yeah,
that shows a lot of conviction. I think it's the right play in this kind of situation.
Besides, even then, there was nothing on Bumper Legend. He actually finished with a time of 1:46.35, and from what I'm reading is that it's going to be map and compass shuffle.
It's an interesting choice from Zero.
Yeah, but follow the two runners, follow me, Apathy Duck, and also our tracker White Wolf. They're the Hunstone heroes. Just stick around. We'll be back with 2 new commentators. Yeah, and then again, don't go away.
All right, I think that does it for us today. Once again, stick around for the exciting, hopefully not conclusion. Really hoping we get a third seed of this. But stick around for the second half of this, and everyone have a good evening and the rest of your day.
Yep. We'll be getting that pretty soon. Don't go away.